Hey there, everybody in the FFBE Global Facebook group, and hello to everybody who sees this video on YouTube as well. Welcome to this week's episode of askanoldmog, where I take a look at some questions and try to answer them in a visual way to try and help people try and learn mechanics about the game and try and make decisions about what to use with free resources like we are using in today's video, which is mainly about free resources. So let's get over to it. So a question came in on a recent video. This actually came in from a YouTube comment, and I'll go ahead and pop it up right here. With the release of Star Quartz time-limited units, which units are worth getting for a TMR or STMR? And this question came from randomboy18, so thank you so much for your question. When it comes to evaluating TMRs and STMRs and units and things that we want to go after with free resources, I like to consider a couple different things. One, does the TMR or STMR provide multiple different effects? And two, are those effects unique in some way? Otherwise, we could just replace them with any TMR or STMR from some other unit, and we shouldn't invest resources if we're trying to be, frugal. But in this case, some of the units that we're going to look at also provide unique benefits themselves. And so I think it is kind of neat to talk about them and go over some of the ones that I think are the best picks if you're just going for TMRs, STMRs, and unit utility. So let's take a look here. If you've never seen where you do this, you're going to go to the shop button right here at the bottom. And then there is a thing that says permanent exchange shops right here. And you're going to scroll down past everything else to mystery crystal shop, and I'm going to show you the time limited exchange units because that's the ones that kind of came up in a question. Let's take a look here. So there's a whole bunch of these units that you can pick up for pretty low prices for the most part. Some are more than others, like Artisan Lid is 1,000, Alhina is 75, so it's definitely like a wide range of options. And if you're not sure what these units TMRs and STMRs have, you can actually click on a unit. We'll start with Alhina here, and if you click on max stats, right, it will show you what their TMR is. It'll be down at the bottom. You can click on it and see what the Taboo Cloak does, right? Or swipe over and see what the STMR does. You only see this if you click on max stats because you have to see them at 7-star form. And so we're going to take a look at some of the ones that I think are the best picks based on what we're seeing here. Get this out of the way here. So we're going to start with Blue Sky Belle Fran. So Blue Sky Belle Fran, her TMR is right here, People of the Wood Archery. It gives 2 killers at 30%, at 50% for avian and bird, beasts rather, and also attack and magic 30% if you're wearing a bow. So that is not horrible if you have to wear a bow and are fighting birds and beasts. But otherwise that may be kind of limited. But if you ever fight a bird beast monster, this could be a very nice piece of equipment for you because killers are generally speaking pretty good. Her STMR is just a two-handed bow that also has bird and beast killer on it. So like if you're going after that and you're wearing the other one already, you might as well put this on too for 100. But it's not like super valuable. And they've given out Blue Sky Belle Fran a couple different times, and so some people may already have 2 of these. If you do already have 2 of these, I wouldn't recommend picking up a 3rd one. But there is some neat utility that she has in her Neovisions form. You get this at the very bare minimum Neovisions called, I'd say you're in more of a supporting role. And what this does is allows her to cast a single or ability on a ball, the new Neovisions Balthier unit, to power him up very strong, and that's a good thing. If you have more than 1 Fran in your party, you can power up more than 1 Balthier in your party, or keep one Balthier running at a very high capacity for several turns. So that's something to consider. If you don't have Fran, but you do have a Balthier, it's good to pick her up so that you can use her at her fullest utility and Balthier at his. The next one I want to talk about is Lumina. Lumina, where are you? Here you are. Lumina, her TMR is an evasion skill. It's 25%, which is pretty good for a single slot. Not terrible. I use it from time to time. And then her STMR is super good. It is Lumina's Close. In addition to having some defense and spirit, as well as 50% elemental resistance, it also fills LB gauge 800 per turn, which is a lot. So I definitely recommend, if you don't have Lumina, pick up Lumina for her clothes alone. She's probably one of the best ones on this list to go after, just because that is a quite high amount for a single slot for LB fill. Okay, so we're going to go now down the list to Strago. Notice how many units we skipped here. Strago, both his TMR, Pursuing the Mysteries of Monsters, gives 25% true double hand magic, as well as 30% magic, okay? And his STMR does too. Strago's Cloak, Old Magi's Wisdom, gives additional 25% true double hand magic, and LB gauge fill. So it's got multiple properties, and it's unique. Magic True Double Hand is not as rare as it used to be, but if you equip both of these, you can have 50%. It's worth something, you know. Maybe not the best items in the game, but you know, potentially good. He's also a blue mage, and he's got some interesting things he can do with his magic. You know, you got some options there. Consider him, not necessarily the best choice, but you can consider it. Untamed Wolf Adele. Her Nightbringer Wolf's Hairpin is 50% break resistance. Okay, so kind of cool. And also attack 45%. But her STMR is unique. It's called Fenrir Synergy, and when you are wearing Fenrir, you get additional stats to all stats and HP and MP just for wearing it anyway. And then it also gives you a 200% attack buff as long as your HP is over 79%. So not terrible, not the best, not the worst by any means. She's also an NVA, and she's a wind evoker in her shift form. So it's kind of neat, the things that she can do. But again, her TMR is unique, but potentially skippable. But if you like equipping Fenrir, it's a reasonable slot to put on there. Really, that's kind of it as far as like the best ones to grab. I'm gonna go ahead and show you Alhina as well again. The Taboo Cloak is not very good, but the Mage of Sin and Taboos is 20% magic and 50% magic true double hand. So again, 50% is not the worst and not the best, but it is there. It's an option you could get for a free unit with Star Quartz alone. Also on here, just want a quick shout out to Magitech Armor Terra is one of the coveted sprites for players who've been around from the very, very beginning of the game. They gave her out as a free pre-registration award, and so a lot of players don't have her and can't have her. Now you can, but notice she costs 3,000 Star Quartz, and I've been playing this game for a long time, and I just barely have over 3,000. So I will not be buying Magitech Armor Terra because I already have her. If you like using her as a skin for your Neovisions Terra, you have to buy her. And if you don't have her, another honorable mention is White Mage Rosa. She has an ability once you max her out called Radiant Arrows, which attacks 6 to 8 times, which used to be really, really good for fights where there was a break gauge and you had to whittle down the break gauge. Used to be really, really good for that. Now we have other options. But it used to be the budget way of dealing with that. She's also not a terrible unit. She's just not a great unit either. But she's okay. There you go, White Mage Rosa. Consider some folks, but there's always a but, right? Before you do any of that, I highly, highly recommend that you also buy any items that you want from the various Mama Chocobo shops. And things like that in the main story. And so some of the items there are very good and some can be skipped. And I'm going to talk about those very briefly right here, some of the good ones. The best use of those, I would say, is the Black Belt, which allows you to do counterattacks, which is unique-ish, but it is there. It's an option. It's not a very good item, but it's unique. Equip Rod lets you use rods. There are some other ability materials that allow you to use rods, but this one is free. Maneater, because killers are good. Charm Bangle has Reduce Encounter, which is unique on an accessory. Now it's only useful in explorations, but if you get annoyed by having to fight enemies during explorations, Charm Bangle is the way to go. Safety Bit nullifies death attacks. sometimes, and so does the Genji shield. So those are both very, very good items to pick up. I use those all the time. Equip instrument is just as good as equip rod, but it's even rarer. Evo magic plus 15%. We have better Evo magic items that you can equip at this point, but you might not have better ones. 15% is pretty good. Jumping technique gives jump damage plus 30%. Same thing. We do have better options, but if you're a newer player or you're just getting started, you might not have better options for jump damage boost. So there you go. The shield gauntlet and the gauntlets both let you equip heavy shields and light shields respectively. The Avenger is a neat little dagger that lets your units start with Berserk. And that's good because Berserk boosts your strength and then just automatically attacks. So it's really good for like farming out item world and just like story that you don't feel like actually playing. You can just turn on Berserk and let your units that have like really powerful auto attacks just do their thing. And then also dual white magic is unique, and it lets you cast two white magic spells. My goodness. That way, if you have a unit that can't cast 2 white magic spells and you want them to, now you can. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. Almost always those units that cast white magic can go ahead and cast them anyway, more than once. But this would let you do that without having to be a white mage. You equip an Esper that has white magic and then equip dual white magic and cast 2 spells. So there you go. Because the Star Quartz is limited, we technically have a lot of it if you've been playing for a while. It is limited. I would recommend picking up those things first before you go start farming out units, because a lot of the things that are in this list are definitely not as good as units that you can pull with tickets, but there are some really nice ones. Again, Blue Sky Belfran has some utility, and as does Lumina. So there you go. Those are kind of my picks as far as what I would go for with those, and I really hope that helps. So if you've got a question that you want to see in next week's video, be sure to let me know in the comments, or drop a message on Facebook or drop a message on YouTube, and I will try to answer it and come up with some information that I think would be useful for you to kind of get started using some free resources in the game. We finally have a good use for Star Quartz, so you might as well put it to some sort of use. Depending on what units you've already picked up as you play the game, that might matter a whole lot, and that might not matter much at all. But it is there, so don't forget about it. There is also a 3-star unit and a 4-star unit exchange that you can go ahead and grab Star Quartz units from as well. In fact, I'll go ahead and pop over to that because I wanted to just scan real quick through here. The best picks out of here are probably, honestly, any units that become NVAs. So like Amarant is decent. Anselm, no, not Anselm, is Drain. Sirius has the Miracle Shoes, which are really, really good. That's Auto Protect, Auto Shell, and Auto Regen, which is a decent little pick. So many units in here. Gal can be an NVA, and his STMR is really, really good. Guy can be an NVA, and his STMR is really, really good. They both have killers on them, which is awesome. Croa has Honorable Rod Arts, which lets you equip rods. Pretty useful. Most of these units. Ludmil lets you cast dual cast anything, so dual cast green, black, white magic. Pretty cool. Just not blue magic. That requires a specific blue mage. It requires you to be a blue mage, rather. We're getting kind of low here to the bottom. If there's anybody really good. Waka can be an NVA. The Dane has dual wield. It used to be really, really good. Now it's like, whatever. And then the 4-stars, really quick, just to kind of scan through them. Chizuru has Katana Mastery. That's not terrible. Eclipsa has Phantom Force, which is bonus Esper stats. Kenny Crow haunts people's nightmares and you should never pull him. Rubicante is and Seymour and Rubicante are both NVAs, and Seymour is actually not a terrible magic tank for free. Almost done. The various Veritas units can absorb elements, which is sometimes nice. That's really it. Zell is an NVA. Oh, Zyle, I'm sorry. And Zyrus has some nice Dragon Killer stuff. But beyond that, you know, most of the stuff you pull off of like 5-star units and NVs are generally speaking going to be way better than any of those. But some are kind of unique. So yeah, if you've got a question for next time, let me know, and I'll do my best to try and answer it. In the meantime, be good to each other, take care, and we'll see you in the next video.